It always baffles me when I find out about something for the very first time. I don't know why I'm so confused.
I would like to find out where the tradition came from, probably, but I mean, people, it's just so ingrained in you if you're a Texan that you have to get mums. And so,
is there any other state? Find out if other states accept that.
I literally, Oklahoma doesn't do it, Louisiana doesn't, New Mexico, I mean, all around us. It's just
12 things non-Texans need to know about homecoming mums. What in the fuck? The mum started as a simple flower. Hold on, scroll up a little bit. Mum started as a simple flower. Guys give them to their homecoming date. Oh, that's hilarious. Girls also give guys one called a garter, like a garter. Oh, they put it around your arm, like a garter belt?
Yeah. Or over your bicep.
How like one of those things that Thai boxers wear?
Yeah.
Being able to make mums can make you rich. Oh, God.
See, $60 to $300.
What?
$300 for fake flowers.
$300. It ain't cheap to electrify a mom. Oh my God, that chick's got one that lights up.
That's so crazy.
You can put LED lighting. Yeah. Look at that. Scroll up a little bit. But you can put LED lighting in mums. I didn't know how many folks were doing this back when I was in high school, but nowadays you really want to impress your date. The latest in mum lighting technology will help you do just that. That is hilarious.
You know this isn't even like a joke website, right?
No,
like, this is
real.
They're taking it serious.
That's
real
so
serious.
Strange.
Mm-hmm. It's really weird. And so when I was in middle school, 7th grade,
Look at that girl. She's got a Christmas tree on her tits. That's ridiculous.
So you want to save? I saved it up, and my allowance. Asked one of my crushes to go to the homecoming game with me. She said yes to my surprise. Went to the game and spent pretty much all my allowance on her mom, and her name's Jessica. And I took her to the game, and I'm up in the stands with her, and halftime comes around. I'm up at the very top left, and all of a sudden everyone looks back up over their right shoulders at us. And this one guy is kind of my bully through elementary and middle school for sure, and his name was Justin as well. And so he walks up and puts his arm out to her, and she puts her arm around his, and he grabs the streamer that says Justin and Jessica and the year on it or whatever, and he says, "Thanks for getting her this." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "You didn't think she'd come with you, did you?" And so he just kind of walks down. All the schools looking, they're all laughing, having fun. But and that one hurt. But what was worse was the next year, because people liked that part of, I don't know, I think for me, when I see bullying now, I just spoke out of middle school, and I told, one of the teachers asked, what should you tell a kid that's battling with suicidal thought or depression, even maybe suicidal thoughts? I'm like, well, if this is 300, 400 kids in here, like, for sure, one person is dealing with these issues right now. And I would say, the thing that probably saved me was my parents didn't own a gun, probably the only Texans that don't own guns. And then, I don't know, I guess one of the main things was, I don't even know that I've ever said this publicly, but I remember having attempted suicide once, and then thinking about it again, and then thinking, what would this do to my mom? And so I love my mom. I'm my mama's boy. Dad's great too, but that's just who I am. She's a tough cookie. She's where I got my competitiveness. She was a national champion and barrel racing, state champion in tennis, and so she always pushed me. My dad, if he was at a wrestling tournament and it's the finals, even state, I would dislocate my thumb or something. He'd come up, "You don't have to wrestle in the next match." Like, it's the finals. My mom's like, "He's getting out there." So my mom's the one pushing him. "Shut up, Jimmy. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna wrestle and he's gonna win." And so my dad was really protecting me, pushing me out there. So I guess I was saying that except for, that thought was just ringing in my head. And so whenever I finally verbalized that, sort of talking about it, that's what really helped. It didn't have to be a bunch of people. I didn't have to go around and be, a drama queen or do it for attention or whatever, but just find one person. And for me at that age, it was having a great mom and parents that love me, and I think that's probably absolutely what saved me at that time. And so I was telling these kids, hey, even if it's just your mom, So I was taking pictures with some of the kids afterwards and stuff, and I walk out to leave, and I'm in the hall, and this mom stops me because
Glad you
she's
made it
with
back.
her little guy and he's
Don't
crying.
bleed on anything.
So a mom had come to school, had heard there was anti-bullying talk. She came up, and I see this little guy. It reminded me a lot of me. The only difference was he
Final
had these
choices,
kind of big
people.
glasses on, but he was
Enemies on the scope.
a little chubby and had one of those things that you'd see stereotypical, like this kid's gonna get picked on.
Right.
And so probably a lot like me, he's used to getting his fat pinched and nipples twisted and all that different stuff. And so he was out there just bawling
I
with
have
his
to power
mom.
down the
His mom
pod.
asked if I could come talk to him for a little bit. I did, and she was saying that he had never opened up with her, and in the last 2 years, but she knew he had been
Time's
dealing
up.
with really bad
Go
depression.
kill some
And right
Zeds.
there, he told her, "I've been dealing with suicidal thoughts for 2 years." And so I don't know why I even brought that up, except for like it's nuts. My parents have a photography company, and they made a memorial a few years back for a little boy who was getting bullied, didn't think he had an option out, and took his life at 9 years old.
Oh my goodness.
I think it was a swing set.
How
So,
did he take his home
hung
himself?
himself,
Oh, jeez.
And so I saw the plaque and everything made up for him, and just gut wrenching. And so, anyway, to say that, and the first story wasn't that, but this kind of one that kind of brought everything to a head was I was in eighth grade this time. Got invited to Jennifer's birthday party. Really excited. Got real invitations in my hands, and made the plans. Talked to my mom, asked if I could go. Talked to some of the people who else is going. That was kind of the work anyways. But on the invitation, I noticed, man, it says costume contest thing. And I was surprised. I started doing research, all this other stuff. Other people were doing it too. And I found out that her dad was Dr. Pepper, and that the house was decorated with all this other stuff. And then she loved Transformers. And so I thought, what if I combine those two things? What if I could make myself a cardboard Transformer from head to toe? It was a 24 pack around the head, 12 packs around the arms, legs, boots. I had a chest plate, had a sword out of cardboard. A country kid, Texas, you see those moms, we can do pretty much anything with duct tape. And so duct tape cardboard, just made it up and walked into the party, and her grandma opened the door. You're gonna love this. Walked in, they literally had a Dr. Pepper machine, one of those old school ones, they just push, it pops out.
Perfect.
15-year-old kid, you love that.
Pod is
So
open
we had Dr.
again.
Pepper can in one
Let's
hand,
get you restocked.
have the Dr. Pepper cardboard sword in the other, walk to the backyard,
day's work
and whenever the
everyone
door opens,
survived.
I open the door and breathe there with like some flashes of lights and fingers pointing, people laughing, and I remember Jennifer saying,
Bonjour.
"Can't believe you thought you were
Come and
cool
get your
enough
tools
to
of
come to my
trade."
party." And I was the only one that was dressed up. Everybody else had gotten there early, and they all been planning, and even the invitations were fake, just so that I would come there, dress up. Another kid said,
We're almost out
"You're
of
worthless."
time.
So in that moment,
Make
I felt
your
worthless.
choices.
And then the main bully said, "You should just kill yourself." And so whenever he said that, 13 years old, battle with depression, suicidal thoughts, all that different stuff, and it took me on a downward spiral, a tailspin, and it really sucked. I didn't know how to cover it
I'm
up.
about to shut
And then
the pod.
I guess I'm getting back to the MMA route, where I found that 13 years old at like a flea market in Texas, and walking down these aisles, I'm looking for a BB gun. And all of a sudden I get to this like used video
Make a
shop,
difference.
and it's got UFC VHS. I think it was 2 through 10 or 2 through 11 or something like that. And so I bought them all. You were on there. And
Dude, that is a horrible story, man.
yeah.
That is a terrible story. How the fuck could those kids be so mean?
And I think
That is-
honestly, I don't think it's, that crazy compared to, it is. It's very like methodical and very planned out.
Yeah.
A lot of people were in on it. I think that probably was one of the things. Like, honestly, Jennifer was the biggest crush I ever had in elementary, middle school growing up, And so she was the one I really wanted to impress. That's why I did that research, And then she was in on it. Other guys planned it. She went along with it.
Having her say that to you, like, I can't believe you thought you were cool enough to come to my party.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I ended up leaving. And this is before cell phones. And I didn't have cell phones. And so I'm 13, went out, found a Dairy King, and went in the back and where the drive-thru was, the dumpster and the fence around it. I just was able to open it, sit
Finish the
there.
last one off.
I just cried basically until someone came out to throw away the trash. And then they were like, oh, honey, what do you need? All this other stuff. Can you call your mom? If I have a phone. And so I walked inside, called her, but she wasn't there. So it took a little while to get a hold of my mom. And then, yeah, man, it was nuts because
Boom.
it's weird how you
Come
will
see me. The
believe,
pod's safely open.
especially in today's
Nicely
age, with social media and all the tweets and things that people just throw
Get
away,
yourself
or throw
fixed
around.
up. You look terrible.
You know, it's nuts how you can see somebody you don't even know them. They might have one follower, but somehow it can still, if you let it, it can still affect you instead of just shrugging it off.
That's a totally different thing.
You
Though.
earned the
Someone saying
money.
something on Twitter
Now spend it.
and someone saying something and looking you in the eyes
Yeah.
and planning out this big
There's
deception.
Zeds on the scope.
Yeah.
But you're such a nice guy. Like, I don't
Very
understand what the fuck causes someone to be such a shithead like that.
Well, I don't know, man. I think I've matured a lot. Where, I mean, obviously, 29 instead of 13. But I think I just became an easy target,
chance.
and
I have to
Because
power
you're
down
just
the
a
pod.
nice guy and they just.
maybe that I wouldn't stand up for myself, and maybe
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest kid, but I was chubby and bigger, and
Break time's over.
yeah, I think
Back
it
to
just was
work.
easy to pick on me in
All
the
Zeds
locker rooms,
inbound.
pick on me in the. I don't know. I think the stats I was looking at was something like 87% of bullying doesn't happen in the presence of
Adults.
adults.
Right.
And then I forget, but you know, even the people around, like how you're saying, you know, the people plan it, it's looking in the eyes. And I think that might have been what took me back the most, because I'm like, man, this is, if you're sitting by, this is what I try to tell some of the kiddos growing up now. It's like, if you think that by laughing, I mean, if you're there and you're not bullying, but you're giggling, you're laughing, like you're definitely a part of it. You're an encourager. But then even if you're silent and you're just watching it, and you don't, like, now if you see it, you have a choice. You can do something about it or you cannot. And so I feel like that's a passive, standby kind of encouragement there. And so for me, it's like everyone's there. People are saying it, people are laughing, people are watching, but nobody was standing up. It was, I think that's what hurt me most.
Well, see, so there's two giant instances. The one with the other guy named Justin. So they planned that out too? Fuck, man.
Yeah, both
You went to school with
back
some
to back.
evil kids.
Yeah, it was actually part of the same kids. So.
God damn.
Yeah, and then so from that, yeah, that's definitely been the biggest battle in my life. Has been depression, suicidal thoughts.
And it was all from that bullying. There was nothing other than that.
For the depression,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it went from, technically, I would say it went from 3rd grade to 5th. And then whenever I started wrestling, my parents transferred me out of school. Anything else that.
But the bullying is what caused all these suicidal thoughts. There's nothing else that was bumming you out about life.
When you're
That
done,
is so
I can
fucked
reopen the
up
treasure pod.
that some shitty, mean kids can all of a sudden throw this monkey wrench in your life.
And then I've learned, and I mean, of course, I'm just thinking back. I shouldn't have ever let it get to the point where, you know, I think I should hurt myself. Or kill my, you know what? Just to real quick put that together with Pygmies at Congo. Whenever I opened up and shared with some of them around the campfire, just hanging out, talking, sharing life stories, I shared that, and I just remember the looks on several people's faces, just so baffled. Like, did he just say he wanted
That was the
to hurt
last
himself?
one.
He was
Get to
suicide.
the
He wanted to
indicated
kill himself?
pod for
All
resupply.
this stuff, and then I started asking, does that not happen here?
You're a
And
real
like, well,
survivor.
some of them were like, well, we've heard of that happening before. And yeah, there's this guy that was that guy and that guy and that guy, and we heard that someone in their village had hurt themselves or killed themselves or something. But most of the
Glad
people,
you
I
made it
think, were
back.
like, no,
Don't
never.
bleed
Why
on
would anyone?
anything.
If you hurt yourself, you're only hurt. Like, it's only hurting you.
Right.
Like, that's not going to help anything.
We just
And
wanted
so-
the pain to end.
Yeah,
Come and
yeah.
get your
Here,
tools
I
of
just want
trade.
the pain to end. But there, it's like it's nuts because they, if I look at it, I was a little kid that got bullied by some stupid kids, and then if I look at what they're going through, man, it shrinks it. It makes it
Time to pull this
microscopic
up.
whenever you
Vite.
stop just focusing on your own problems. You start looking at other problems that maybe you can be a part of helping solve that problem. And
So this
All set on
bullying
the
all
scope.
throughout your
Back to it,
childhood
mes amis.
led into adulthood, and the only thing that made it better was you going to the Congo and helping out these pygmies and building wells and sort of dedicating and devoting your life to their life.
yeah, I would say practically, that has been, to have a sense of purpose. I mean, I think it's a lot of different things, but it all kind of came together. But for me, yeah, I mean, when you're not living for yourself and living for others, I mean,
Now
I didn't
finish
know
the
that.
job.
For me, I had a big paradigm shift or change in my life whenever, coming out of the addiction, I felt like, oh man, like I don't have to walk around and hate myself and stay away from people because they're either going to hurt me or I'm going to want to hurt them. Like, I don't have to do that. I can help people. I want to love them. I can, figure out something. Dude, it first started, what really started helping a lot was involved with a lot of different stuff from detention center, going in and meeting some of those kids once a week, to homeless shelter, to becoming an official volunteer, Denver Children's Hospital, taking the grudge guys through there.
Do you stay in any way in touch with those kids from back in the day, from the kids that bullied you?
Yeah.
Did you ever?
It was actually funny. After the Ultimate Fighter, I got invited out by one of the guys, and just because I think a couple of people, I saw one of the guys. He was one of the main guys, and I just saw him walking around downtown Fort Worth. And he said, "Why don't we go out here, whatever?" I'm like, "All right, I'll go." And well, he had actually brought me into a sushi restaurant, and all around the table was most of the people that were, not most, it was probably like 8 but they were some of the main kids that were partying, dressed up and everything. But man, if you
Clear this batch
know you were a
out.
fighter, I could kick their butts and you wouldn't have done that shit. And I'm just like, so I told him I was going to do that. I think that's the only time I've ever done anything like that.
Did you sense any feeling of remorse from them, or did you just want to be friends with you?
One or two of them. One guy for sure. He's pretty cool now. But then one is a knucklehead for sure. And
Still.
yeah.
Glad to see you made it.
It's that
Make for the
classic
pod and gear up.
thing of kids ganging up on one kid. That's a weird instinct that sometimes children have. You remember that movie Carrie, where
Patch
they
yourself up.
she goes to the prom and did you ever see
Actually,
that
I haven't
Sissy
seen it.
Spacek movie?
Mhm.
It's based on a great Stephen King book.
I know the cover.
Bring up
Yeah,
the trading
the
tools
Sissy
and
Spacek
upgrade
movie
your
was
gear.
really trippy. John Travolta's in it.
Hmm.
Back in the day, young and handsome. But it's that's the themes that they push her. She has these crazy telekinetic powers, and they push her to this point, and they do it by mocking her and bullying her. They take her to the prom, and they pour pig's blood on
Oh
her
my
head.
gosh.
She winds up killing everybody.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But that thing that happens when kids gang up on a kid that they feel like is vulnerable. Like, what the fuck is that, man? What a horrible instinct. Like, is that... But, I mean, I struggle to understand where that instinct comes from or why people do it. It's, especially little kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could understand it if the kids have been abused themselves and they want to lash out, they're angry and hurt. But oftentimes it's just they find someone who's vulnerable. It's like they find the pecking order and they find the one person they can get away with, and they all funnel their insecurities and their anger and their aggression on this one person. Just because with no regard whatsoever of what kind of impact it's going to have on that kid.
And I think one of the things that makes it so much worse now is really, I mean, I don't know, I get to hear some of the stuff and they can't escape it. Like, because it follows them home. I'm
Right.
outside of them and texting and all this stuff. So it's constantly, so I could at least escape it from, I don't know, 8 to 3. 8 to 3, I was at school, but when I came home, I was okay. And maybe that gave me a break.
You're full.
Are there more or less of them than people that are in cults?
There are vastly more paying attention?
than people in cults.
Yeah. Well, I
What do
mean,
you
you'd have
call
to
a
define
cult?
it. Yeah, you'd have
see,
to
'cause
define
I
cult.
think that's way off because I think there's like 1 billion Catholics.
Well, if you're going to call Catholicism a cult.
It's a
then-
cult. I grew up in it.
Okay.
It's 100%. It's just a cult with 1 billion people. I mean,
well,
whenever you got a guy who dresses like a wizard, just sitting on a golden throne.
oh boy,
He's
we're
talking
here,
about
are we?
people. Yeah, I mean but that is why this is a problem. Is that there's many people that live their lives by these ridiculous ideologies that are illogical.
Okay, so I'm
So
gonna
how would
challenge you on this.
Protect them from predators and Facebook likes.
I'm gonna challenge you on this.
Please do.
Catholicism is not a cult.
What is the difference between a cult? I had a bit for my act. Let me just.
Sure.
A cult is bullshit, and it's created by one person, and he knows it's bullshit. In a religion, that guy's dead.
Okay. So let me. This is rough territory, but
For you.
Okay, let's say.
For me, this is every day.
Let's say, yeah, all right. Let's say Moses comes down the mountain with the tablets.
Oh, that dude.
Okay, I don't know if Moses did come down the mountain with the tablets.
I don't
but
think he did.
Let's say he did.
But okay.
Did he know he was bullshitting people?
Well, do you know what religious scholars actually believe in Jerusalem? Actually, believe that was all about now the whole burning bush.
Tell me.
They believe it was the acacia bush, which is rich in DMT, and they think the metaphor of the burning bush was actually a psychedelic experience, and that Moses, during this psychedelic DMT experience, came back from the other dimension that you go into when you go into the DMT trance, with all this really these standard messages that I myself have gotten from these psychedelic experiences, that you have to treat each other as if we're all one, and that our separations are all illusions, that you are literally living a life that if I was born in your body and I had your genetics, I would be you and you would be me, because we are all the same, and our differences are really what the illusion is. We are these temporary beings, and that negative thinking and negative feelings and all these things manifest themselves in negative actions and negative thoughts, and you can change that. You can change the frequency in which you exist in this world.
Okay.
Like, this is essentially what the 3,000-year-old version of Moses, or more than that, Moses' tablets were. That they were, God was the burning bush.
Perfect.
Right,
So
okay.
let me ask you a question. You've done some hallucinogens,
Oh yeah.
and you've had some insight,
Yeah.
and that insight had something to do with treating people well.
Yes, it definitely did.
Okay, was it true?
Well, it definitely has benefited me. True or false, if you ask me, is it true that you have had positive experiences from psychedelic drugs where you have interpreted those experiences and improved your life? Yes,
Good.
that's true.
Okay, so if you now go and you convey that thing to somebody who hasn't had the experience themselves, is it bullshit?
Well, here's the thing about psychedelics as opposed to all the other ideologies, is that they're very repeatable. You don't have to believe in DMT. If you smoke it, you're going to experience it whether you believe in it or not.
Right, and actually I think this is, I am a cautious fan. I say cautious because I'm not a fan of the idea that these substances should be used recreationally. I think that's a mistake.
I agree with you.
I think
But I think-
it's fine to have a great time, but that these things are so powerful that one should be deliberate about it, and don't do it with a TV.
The only thing that I like about doing it recreationally is it's going to get more people to do it. And that if you think it's recreational and then you do it, there's going to be a certain percentage of those people that go, what was that? That's not what I thought it was. I thought I was going in there to have a good time, and I just communicated with God.
Yep.
Air quotes God.
Yeah, air quotes. Well, but air quotes God is marvelous because air quotes God is the real deal.
Yeah.
Right? In other words, it's not a dude on a cloud.
Right.
It's something, it is a metaphor for something lodged very deep in the mind where you can't find it directly, and this is a hack that many cultures have used to access that layer.
And it's all very familiar to us, and when you talk to people that have studied DMT in particular, one of the reasons why I think it's so familiar to us, when you have this experience, one of the first things that happens is you feel like you've been there before. And they believe that this is because during REM sleep, your brain produces DMT.
Yep.
It's very difficult to monitor, but they have been able to, through the Cottonwood Research Foundation, which all started from the work of Dr. Rick Strassman out of the University of New Mexico, who wrote a book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule, which was one of the very first times where the DEA allowed them to do clinical studies on people with intravenous dimethyltryptamine, which is like fucking serious shit. So instead of like this 10 to 15 minute trip, you're gone for a long time, half hour plus, and deep experiences that a lot of these people mirrored. They had like super similar experiences, but through the Cottonwood Research Foundation, they found that live rats are producing DMT in their pineal gland. This has been proven now, which was really just speculation. There was anecdotal evidence, but now they know that rats produce this.
Well,
so they don't know exactly when people do it, because they would have to do the same thing they do to rats. They'd have to open your brain up. Until they develop some sort of sophisticated detection methods, it's just speculation as to when the brain's producing this incredibly potent psychedelic drug. But it's there. We
Right.
know it's producing it. We know it's produced in the liver. It's produced in the lungs. It's endogenous to the human system, and we don't know why.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure I have a good insight into why.
Okay.
But for the moment, let's pursue the issue of what the implications are.
Okay, I'll hold on to why. I'll cross my fingers.
Yeah,
for
cross your
why.
fingers on that one.
Wow, that's a big statement. This whole thing is so mind blowing, and as mind blowing as your first appearance, this chart especially is really freaking me out. Like looking at the mortality of all the animals, the mass extinction event that must have taken place. One of the things that always bothered me about that idea that human beings killed off the woolly mammoths is that they found these vast fields of uneaten mammoths where there was thousands of them that had died almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
Which is just, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what did they do? They went on a mass killing orgy of slaughter and then decided not to eat any of them?
Well, you know, the field evidence itself is inconsistent with that idea. Right here, this is an example. This is one of the many mammoth cemeteries. And what happens is that you can see here that, you can see from the shoreline, see that there was a flood. The river rose up to this level, and then when it rose down, it left this in its wake. And what you see here, like this is bone counting at the Berlik Mammoth Cemetery in northern Yakutia, Siberia. Identical deposits are found throughout the Taymyr Peninsula. And what we see here is these massive bone deposits that have been showing up for the last couple of hundred years. Every time that there's a thawing or a flood, or these things are washed up on the shore of the Arctic Ocean, what we see is that there were huge herds of woolly mammoths grazing, where now the plant material is only 2 inches high. So clearly, it was a completely different climate there. What's interesting is that you had in Siberia able to support herds of woolly mammoths at the same time that half of North America is buried under 2 miles or more of ice.
How is that possible? Just a totally different
I'm
atmosphere.
still puzzling over that. I have some ideas, but until I can test these ideas a little further,
So without ice core samples, is it impossible to figure out what the temperature was in Siberia at that time?
No, they can figure out basically based upon fossil plant remains. And you can see that in some cases the tree line is hundreds of miles further north than it is now. And that's clearly, if you've got trees, forests growing now where 13 or 14 or 15,000 years ago was permafrost, you know it was warm, clearly.
So there's still, whoa, what is that? 19th century scene showing ivory floor of the London docks covered by thousands of mammoth tusks from Siberia. This is a drawing, obviously.
Yeah. This
Predates photographs.
Yeah. For hundreds of years, thousands of mammoths, entombed mammoths, and mammoth tusks were being exhumed from the Siberian permafrost. Thousands and thousands and thousands of these. And basically, to me, you look at this is just in-your-face evidence that this was not humans doing this. It was not humans that were slaughtering these mammoths and burying their remains.
Well, it's the instantaneous nature would almost be like people had figured out some new thing, like they figured out some like a doom gun, they they shot the whole
the doom gun. Well, look at the near extinction of American bison. What
Right.
brought that about? Trains and high-powered rifles, right? It was a major technological advancement that was able to bring about the near extermination of the American
There's
bison.
actually a guy that I'm going to bring on the podcast soon to discuss that. His name's Dan Flores, who is in a big chunk of his intellectual career studying this. And what he believes is that the bison had a massive population jump. Popular
Over it.
opinion? The
Hell
idea
yeah.
that there are no
I'm
races?
about to shut
Oh,
the pod.
okay. So, I'm Mr. Anti-academic, but this is where academics have actually done their best work, I think. So, and this is my second disagreement with Jordan
Time's up.
Peterson.
Go kill some Zeds.
Gavin McInnes, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So much to talk about,
Yes.
so much people are going to want to hear about.
I've got so much to say.
Lingering questions, we've got to talk about Charlottesville, your new gig at CRTV.
Yes.
So many things happening and so much that people want me to ask you about. The first question, though, of course, is do fat girls deserve love?
Well, that's a good question. We need to get parameters on what fat is. I've always said you have to pay your waist tax. So your ass could be this big.
Yes.
If the waist is, and Puerto Ricans do this all the time. They'll have an ass this big and they're not fat.
But they're just
Because
thick
they're just
with two
voluptuous.
C's.
Yeah.
Thick with two C's.
But if we're talking about when they get that thing where there's a butt on the front and there's an actual crack
Yes.
in the belly,
Yes.
no, I'm sorry.
No, they don't deserve love. Okay. Why do some men like fat women?
I think men have very low standards, and we're told that we're these horrible people, and we give these women these unachievable body images that they just can't ever maintain.
It's not true because
You'll go to Walmart, you'll see a woman who's a bowling ball with a face on the top and 2 shoes on the bottom, and she's got a man
and 6 kids.
and 6 kids.
Yeah.
We will basically screw anything that moves. But the funny thing about these fatties too is they go, oh, you don't think I deserve to live? Well, tell you what, I deserve to live. And I go, first of all, we're joking about the no love. Secondly, I never talked about you not deserving to live. I don't give a shit what you do.
As long as I don't have to pay for your
Yeah.
gastric bypass.
Yeah, I'm just telling you that you're dying. But you're mad at me and you think I want to, like, the genocide of fat people? You guys are doing a great job of your own genocide.
You're killing yourself perfectly well
You got it
without
all
my
wrapped
help.
up there.
With the help, by the way, of corporate America.
Yeah.
J.C. Penney. Did you see that video? As in, like, 6 months ago?
Stunning.
J.C. Penney. These huge ham beasts, like lumbering through life, and we're the hateful ones because we need to be educated into fat positivity. You know, fat acceptance and body positivity.
They're so cruel to themselves.
But the scary thing isn't just these damaged people getting themselves into serious trouble with big health complications. It's the complicity of corporate America,
Yeah.
encouraging their own customers to die early. You know, to die soon.
It's almost like heroin chic. Like someone saying heroin.
But at
looks
least people
hot.
looked
They
better
did
in
look better on
clothes.
it. But that would, if you had a Lancome campaign and it was called heroin chic, that would be unethical. And this is exactly what they're doing. And it gets to the point where I saw this video where the woman said, they don't think that we're beautiful, watch this. And she dressed up like Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. And she had the ribbons on, and you thought, the cruelest frat on earth
Would never
in the 70s would never do this. Like dress you up and go, hey, look at this, we got a beauty over here. Why don't you parade around for us, beauty? Like it's so mean.
This is something I've observed. However mean we are about the feminists, the social justice warriors, the lunatics of Black Lives Matter, we don't scratch the surface of what they do to themselves.
We're sweeties.
We are.
I mean, when
I've always thought of you as adorable. I think
we
you're
love,
like a lovable uncle.
We want to
you know?
snuggle. We want to cuddle. But then you come to New York and these women say the filthiest things in bed, and they say, choke me, and all this horrible stuff, and you go, all right, one in Rome.
Yeah.
But it's not our nature as straight men anyway. I don't know what you guys get up to, but our nature is loving, guys. Like, we don't want to hurt anyone. The ones who wanted to hurt people are extinct. But we keep getting this double standard where, oh, you're man-spreading. And I look on the train today and I see a woman with 3 purses and shopping bags next to her on the subway, and I think,
Femme spreading.
you're lying about us.
Yeah, no, of course. Which is nothing like the public health risk that femme steering represents.
Oh my God. I get jealous of Saudi Arabia sometimes, although I think they just
stopped it.
blew it. Yeah.
It was the only good thing about Islam. It was the only thing they had going for them.
Sitting in the passenger seat of a woman driving is a form of torture. Because you're watching cars pass you in the slow lane and you're looking over at her going, do you not see what I see? You're supposed to feel shame when people pass you in the slow lane. You're supposed to get over it.
I was going to ask you about this later,
Okay.
but since we're on the subject, you in another life you could have been a jihadi. If you take your
Oh, there's so much good stuff they do. I don't
This
like
is what I-
seeing all
this
these
is what I'm
beautiful women in
asking
New York. it ruins your whole day because you think, what if I had her?
So they're right about that.
They should
They're
cover
right
women
about-
up.
so-
You get too horny.
So you agree with the Islamic perspective
Yes,
on?
I agree with all of it. I'm pro-Sharia. That they do too much of this in Sharia. You don't get this constantly in your ear. And the rape thing. Like, look at Mattress Girl. We never would have had to deal with Mattress Girl with Sharia.
And of course, you can have a harem. You can.
Oh my God, 6 wives. Get out of here. Go put your hijab on.
I'd always suspected this about you.
Yeah.
Always suspected this about you. Okay, fine. You.
I actually did that at a Sharia march. I said, let's cut this shit. On the podium, I said, I talked about driving and everything. And no one was getting it because you can't do sophisticated irony at a march. It has to all be like Hitler talk.
I've tried.
America is the greatest and we will dominate the world! Ah!
People don't come for subtlety.
Yeah,
They just want to get fired up and smash
yell.
something.
Them, us, yeah.
All right. Let's talk about more substantial things, and we'll
Okay.
come back to the misogyny in Sharia later. First of all, just going back, by now everybody knows that you were one of the founders of Vice.
Yes.
You sort of invented, well, you did invent it.
I say I created.
Okay, you invented hipsters.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
It wasn't to be formally planned. I'm just a very dynamic person, almost like the prophet. And so whenever I focus on something, it just becomes a thing.
Right.
Like even when I was a teenager, I got into punk. I said, let's start bands. Then there was a phenomenon, and it was our band, and people knew the words, and we had followers. And I've always had this sort of not Messiah complex, Messiah tendency.
Yes.
And so with the hipsters, we're just goofing around. We had to have fashion in the magazines that pays the bills, and I thought I cannot do fashion shoots. I find them physically painful. They're worse than being in the passenger seat when a woman's driving. So I said, okay, we'll just do comedy. We'll make fun of people's pants. And then by proxy, you end up defining what is a good look. And then that's what subculture is. It's 90% the outfits. So the next thing you know, hipsters are a thing.
I see.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I think you have come
You
to...
invented gays.
You have, well, sound gays, proper gays, nice gays, gays that vote Republican.
Yeah, gay-servative.
Gays are... But I had a couple very serious questions.
Okay,
but
sorry.
We're gonna struggle. We're gonna struggle. I was gonna ask you. You're now at CRTV.
Yes.
Your previous show.
The Gavin McInnes show.
Yes. Which was at the. I don't remember the name of the network, but you were mad at me for a while.
I was furious.
Tell us what happened, because
I'll say this to 1 million people and they'll all agree with me. You were on my show when you were just a guy who came back from the gym, the Gamergate guy. I was screaming from the top of every mountain, you gotta check out this Milo dude. Skypity, Skype. You come too big for Skype, that's totally understandable. And then you come to New York, you're at the studio and you go, who should I do? My close friend Gavin, that I've spoken to 1 million times.
No.
Or some greasy dago whoop named Anthony Cumia, his boss. I'll appear on that show first.
I would like to clarify. By the way, I invite you to everything I do. I mention you constantly in interviews.
Okay.
I was not intentional. I didn't even...
I don't like that excuse. My Little League coach said that about my son the other day. He said, hey, I'm sorry we were late. It wasn't on purpose. And I go, what kind of asshole coach shows up late and goes, yeah, I'm late. Anyone got a problem with that, you stupid kids?
I should have just done it. Okay, well, allow me to apologize.
Apology accepted.
What can I do to make it up?
We're done. We're good.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, Scottish people, the
Some
previous
kind
generation...
of self-flagellation?
I just need like 7 months to get over something. And
You
it's a
had
problem
some months.
Because people are usually over you by the time. So you come out of hiding.
You come out of hiding and they're like, sorry, who are you?
Yeah, you come out of the cave, you roll the boulder back.
They're
you're
like, I've forgiven you now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Yeah, what was that in With Neil and I when Uncle Monty says, I'm preparing myself to forgive you. They're like, screw you, I don't want you back in my life. I've moved on. Oh, all right, well I'm here if you need me.
Never going to happen between us.
Right.
Now, you weren't there, now you're CRTV.
Yes.
You've had problems with advertisers in your career.
Yeah, an infinite number of times.
To put it mildly.
Well, that was the business plan of Vice.
Right.
I thought
That's what
editorial and marketing should always be at odds. Because as soon as they comply with each other, you've lost the validity, you've lost the authenticity. and now you're just going to have the choice.
But we're now in a marketplace where conservatives effectively just can't be advertised on. You know,
No.
it's like you can't do it at Breitbart. You can't do it. I mean, you know, what's that thing? The elephants or something? The
Red elephants?
No, there's a hippos or elephants. There's a Twitter account that goes after Breitbart's advertisers. You know about that?
Oh,
and it's
okay.
and like thousands of them have gone. If you are to the right of Jane Fonda, you run the risk of being boycotted by these leftist mobs,
Yes.
right? How you're the other person in conservative media in this sort of new popular troll subculture thing that's bubbling up right now. I think we're the only two who are not only interesting and funny and charismatic and have big followings, but we've also run our own businesses, which I don't think any of our peers have done.
Right.
We both still have, like, you know, let's say commercial skin in the game in addition to just being entertaining for a living. What's the answer?
Work. I mean, I've lost tens of millions over the year. I had an entire ad agency shut down for
This was
saying
Rooster, right?
Rooster for
Because you said so. Was it the trans thing?
I said trans people are mentally ill gays. You're not a woman. You're just a gay guy who has head problems.
And aren't we all transphobic? Which
Yes, yes,
you
I
wrote that
did
for
say
Thought Catalog, right?
Yes, yes.
Isn't everybody transphobic? Which seems to me to be fairly self-evident.
Well, I used the example of your dad. And you go home for Thanksgiving, your dad has no penis and a dress on. He's like, "Hi, kids."
Wouldn't that
And
be
we all go,
terrifying?
"Hi, new mom. What do you want to go play tennis, new mom?" Like, no. Everyone would go, "Ah!" They'd be bawling their eyes out, but they see it on TV and they pretend.
Unless you have a syndicated reality show, in which case, yeah.
Even like look at Jeffrey Tambor in Transparent. That's hilarious. That has been funny from the beginning of time. I'm sure cavemen put hay on their heads and said, "Hello, I'm a cave lady," and everyone laughed. Right up till like 3 years ago, and now we look at Jeffrey Tambor and go, "You look marvelous."
No, we suddenly have to lie that oh, you're beautiful and brave, stunning and brave. We know.
My mom has a hen night where all the Scottish moms come over and they get shit-faced. And my dad will come down with like her hat on and lipstick on.
Yep.
They are delirious with laughter, like their makeup is pouring down their face. And the idea that that would happen and the woman would go, "Hello, Jamzea, Jimmy Leah."
What's your drag name?
He doesn't have one. He's not that committed to the cause yet. He didn't know it had become normalized.
Okay.
But my point is, sorry, that agency was shut down. You know, can't work at Vice, had a whole comedy career that was shut down, movies shut down, can't do anything creative, can't get any sort of comedians on my show. And you keep becoming a leper again and again and again, and it keeps spreading. But when you keep working and you keep creating quality content that's honest, the market corrects itself. And I think right now we're in a rough point with the adpocalypse on YouTube and everything. But the demand is much bigger than the supply. So in a country where Fox News is the only mainstream conservative place, the country's always going to be 50-50, but you have 80% liberal. The pendulum has to swing back. And if you just keep plugging away, you can ride that pendulum like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball video.
Yeah.
Nude.
Well, I think you're no stranger to public nudity.
Oh, no. Well, today actually is the first day you'll be able to see Uranus with normal
with the
eyes.
naked eye.
Yeah.
I have seen it previously.
Oh, really?
With the naked eye.
Well, it's a very rare occurrence, and it can be a
photographs.
beautiful, incredible thing if
Actually,
you're lucky.
he FaceTimed me from behind, so
I think we might be talking about different things.
I'm going through.
Sorry.
I'm going through something of the same on my tour at the moment.
Oh,
we have a new
of
tour
course,
coming up. So we had 2 venues cancel: Kansas City, Missouri, right, and then Chicago.
Chicago's a doy.
Well, we're very happy to go to Chicago, create jobs. It's not like they don't need it. And these venues who have contracts with us are canceling because of a few blue-haired losers on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, you know, and the thing is, there's got to become a breaking point at some point, because we're not like troublemakers, like rabble-rousing in the streets. We sell tickets. Like, you know, my Australia tour is going to sell out. You know, it's going to make a lot of money for everybody involved. This is a commercially. I mean, it's not like Amy Schumer desperately trying to fill a stadium and giving away tickets. Whoever's on the street, you know, sending out 50 people in the street saying, "You want to come see Amy Schumer tonight?" You know, it's like we actually sell out. You know, and this, I suppose, is what happened to people like Marilyn Manson in the 90s. You know, post-Columbine.
Yeah, remember the PMRC was big with Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore?
He's going to make money, but nobody will let him play. You know,
Yeah.
this is in the 90s and the early 2000s. You know, it's like you can sell this stadium out and you won't let me play.
It becomes the Streisand effect, where for your audience who's not familiar with that, she didn't want her vacation home shown. She sued the celebrity magazine that released the pictures, and everyone had to see it. Now everyone knows what it's like. Look at Richard Spencer in Florida. I think it's today. They spent, I believe, $500,000. The state is in a state of emergency, and there's these cement pillars that are, you know, in 8-foot sections going down the road. All you're doing there is making his toxic alt-right ideology very sexy to young rebels.
Very much so, which is why I object to him so much, because he is wrong about things, and I don't like the race stuff he does, but he makes us, it's like people put us in the same bucket. And it's interesting, though, to me, how is it that every college talk that I try to stage seems to get called off, but Richard Spencer's fine? Richard Spencer has microphones like shoved in his face. They're desperate. No, but they're desperate to make him a star. They're desperate to make him a star. Why? Because he proves their thesis that there is some kind of resurgent white nationalist movement in America. I try to speak on campus. No journalist will show. Like, the whole thing. The whole thing doesn't happen. And it's very, unless something is going wrong. It's very remarkable to me how Richard Spencer seems to be so beloved by the media. I mean, remember all those profiles that talks about him as being dapper and well-dressed and well-spoken? It's just astonishing to me that they will focus attention on the genuinely bad actors and then play these dirty games with people like us.
Well, it's confusing.
Not to play the victim, because I'm doing fine.
I did an interview with NBC yesterday for 2 hours, and what they do, it's like Stalin. They talk
grill
to
you for 2 hours
until you're falling over from exhaustion, and you have to pee, so you're about to pee your pants.
I'll say anything.
And they're like, "Are you racist?" I'm not a Nazi. And they go, "Whoa, someone doth protesteth too much." And
then there'll be like 2 hours of setup, and it'll cut to you going, "I'm not a Nazi."
But you go, I said to this woman yesterday, I go, your bad guys are everywhere, by the way. Like, the people on the far right, the alt-right, would be happy to talk to you, and they say what they mean.
Yeah.
We say what we mean too.
But they don't believe
instead, you assume we're lying, and then page through something where someone you met talked to someone else and clicked like on Facebook. That's one I actually got.
Yeah.
And I go, why are you digging through trying to find something when I'm right here?
Just ask me.
Yeah.
I have enough opinions you'll hate that you can write
I
about.
said that verbatim.
But I'll tell you.
I'm an Islamophobe. I'm a xenophobe. I'm pretty darn sexist. Go jump on that.
It's like I did a book signing the other day in Orlando, and I was like, they call me a homophobe, they call me a white nationalist, they call me a racist, they call me a transphobe. Only transphobe is true. And it's like, no, nothing.
It's bizarre, and I think there's a lot of layers to this, and sometimes I get lost. I call myself an anti-Femite, because you know the way anti-Semites will think Jews
I don't
are
think that's
behind
going to catch on.
everything.
You think
But I
feminists
can
are
get
behind
paranoid,
everything?
and I'm like, women are doing
No, it's
this.
not
They're
women.
behind
It's
the
not
scenes.
women. It's lesbians.
Maybe lesbians.
lesbians.
Like these things
I'm
that
right-
shut down your talks, right?
They're all lesbians. I'm currently writing a very long essay. We might turn it into a little booklet. How lesbians ruined everything, and it's about
It is suspicious.
culture. Look, think about the academy, journalists. It's when you start
Spinsters too, though. I was undercover for joined BLM for James O'Keefe. I was a punk British kid, old man, and they have their beautiful little placards, right? All the signs, and it was people who died from police violence. Of course, they don't mention that these people were charging to kill a cop by charging him with a car or something.
Yeah.
But it's just these poor innocent victims, and they're beautiful, done at Kinko's, and it was all lesbian lawyers hanging out these placards. And I just thought, you're getting the Soros money, spending it at Kinko's, not giving it to any of these people who go get arrested.
Yeah.
You're the problem. You lesbian lawyers.
How lesbian lawyers ruined everything. No, but you look at gender studies departments,
Yeah.
It's like dyke, divorcee, dyke.
Well, I also have a problem with these. Every time I get investigated, it's some spinster with dried up ovaries who wants to say, this sexist pig says my dog mom life sucks. But that is too obvious.
Yeah.
So they'll go, this guy's a Nazi. And then they get to attack me for something that they don't really believe, but they're not being as transparent about their motive. And I think, so your journalism piece here is all about revenge and spite. Why'd you choose this profession? You don't belong in it.
Yeah. I have a saying, one of my favorite coinages of mine.
Classic me.
Yeah. That is like so me. That is like classic me. That is like gold-plated me. No, everyone who hates me is ugly. And it's a golden rule I have discovered. When you look in the media, like look at the pictures of the professors, look at the pictures of the journalists.
Well, it reeks of bias everywhere, because I was realizing this today. No man who's married with kids has ever done a hit piece on me. Every time a man with kids has written an article about me, it's been reasonable and fairly true.
That's
But it's
interesting.
spinsters, feminists,
we should
and
start,
beta males.
we should start having rules for interviews. You can only interview me if you're married. No
Yeah.
single people.
Yeah.
No single, miserable 30-year-old women living on their own in New York in apartments they hate with cats they wish were dead. Like, you can't interview me.
It's
You're
a
not
litmus
allowed.
test that would work. Like Ann Coulter says, let's have an app for immigration where you have to speak English, and if it understands you, you're in. That sounds silly, but it would work.
No, so when you come over and you drive an Uber, you're good.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I don't think he'll mind me saying this. My husband, who is black,
Black is coal.
well, no, not really, but
Black is chocolate.
blackish.
Orange chocolate.
Yeah, like Terry's chocolate orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was banned from Uber last week
Oh.
because he complained about not being able to understand Spanish drivers.
What a racist.
Right? No. I cannot understand. They show up late. They don't know where they're going. On the app, it said Marisol was coming, and it was some dude. And he said, "I'm pretty sure this isn't a trans thing. I think they're just like sharing their account or whatever, which is presumably not allowed." It's like they have this sort of site, like one of them will sleep while the other two are driving Ubers,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they did that in yellow cab days in New York.
Right, because of the badges, you know?
Yeah,
yeah. And I cannot make myself understood. They don't know where they're going. They don't understand GPS. They barely understand the Uber app. I just don't get it. And I was an hour late for work. They banned him because his name sounds like he could be white, and I don't think they. They didn't know, so they were just like, "Oh, this is just Trump, some Trump supporter
This
being
refugee
racist."
situation is so bad in Britain that as a free market libertarian who always wants the free market to win, when I heard Uber was being shut down, I went, good, because it wasn't working over there, because they were Muslims who were kicking out people for bringing seeing eye dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They were refusing, and they do this in New York too, refusing to take people who have booze, refusing to put booze in the trunk, and
like in
accosting
shopping
people.
bags and
Yeah, they were
things,
accosting Cowlin Robertson, they're accosting Tommy Robinson because they saw them as anti-Muslim. And you go, you know what, let's shut this down, this isn't working. And by the way, in New York...
It's a shame because Uber's the only kind of vaguely sort of ish right-wing tech startup.
Yeah, you know things are bad when right-wingers hate right-wing things.
No, seriously, because Uber is, you should like Uber. We ought to like Uber. Uber is like breaking apart a monopoly that doesn't work, that's crappy. And everyone I know who was like really right-wing and went to work for a management consultancy or got some business degree from the business school at Cambridge, whatever, real like dyed-in-the-wool Tories back in England, they all went to work for Uber. It's like all of the posh, rich right-wingers work at Uber, but the company still can't save itself.
I don't know, here in New York too, with Uber and with the yellow cabs, everyone is from Lahore, Pakistan. And I know this is going to sound racist, but the smell, I've lived here for 20 years, the smell's
Why stop
crippling.
now?
And I'm like, when I smell bad BO, you were talking earlier about how conservatives have a bad gag reflex. You're putting your rotten cells into my body, so you're raping me with your human waste. And so I go, I'm not paying for this. I try to breathe through my mustache, and I say to the guy, you smell really bad. He goes, no, it's maybe the previous person. And so I've learned over 20 years in New York City, just the most biting insult that really makes him mad, and it doesn't sound insulting.
Smells like a dog.
You say, you smell like a goat. And they just turn purple with rage. They go, you smell like a goat. That's not a comeback.
Like all the worst insults in the Middle East sound really quaint to us. They're all really
Your
silly.
mother's a donkey's another doozy that makes
and they really,
uncle's a donkey.
You smell like a goat.
Oh, it's really good. They get so mad. Why do I have to breathe like this? Because you don't know what deodorant is.
Yeah. This, of course, is the sort of...
It sounds terrible, but it's a fact.
Well, it does sound terrible, but then again, like me, in your domestic life, if you don't mind me sharing this, because I know you talk about this in your show. You are what do they call us? They call us race mixers in the alt-right, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, you are. You are in your domestic life.
I think you have to make cookies in order for it to be considered a mix.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. So I don't count.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they.
You're a race fraternizer or something. But yeah, I made a bunch of ethnic-looking American Indian children. But that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to mention that. How desperate they are for villains. That they go, Ben Shapiro's a Nazi. Alan Dershowitz is a Nazi. Milo Yiannopoulos, whose mother's Jewish and is married to a black man, is a racist,
is a white supremacist.
White supremacist. Gavin McInnes is a racist. And you're like, so I actually had an argument with Talib Kweli about this, the
is
rapper.
he a real thing? Because his
So
Twitter account
dumb,
is so funny. No, but it's got to be performance art.
He says fuckboy and stuff.
No, I know, but it's got to be performance art. I don't believe he's real.
That's as good a theory as any.
I don't believe he's real because he'll say things like suspected white supremacist, and then there'll be loads of crazy names afterwards. You know, like,
Yeah.
I think it's all a joke.
Well, I said I didn't bring this up because it's dirty pool, but someone else goes, you know, he's not married to a white person, right? And he goes,